Committee meeting of June 4th.
No.
Redo.
We're waiting on it.
It was paused for television.
That was horrible.
Now I'm trying to figure out the date.
Cue cards.
Take two. Good evening. I'm going to call the Northborough School Committee meeting to order. It is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. And the first order of business is election of officers. And at this time, I'll take a motion or nomination for the chairperson for the 25-26 school year.
I would like to nominate Bryce. I've been thrilled to represent as the chair for the last 3 years, but as I've said, I'm ready to pass the gavel, and I think Bryce has been vice chair for 2 years, and I think he's ready to step up to the plate. I would recommend.
So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I do.
Joe?
The only discussion I'll have, I'd like to thank Kelly for her leadership the past 3 years. You've done a fantastic job. You've really grown into this position, and just admire you with everything that you've done. So thank you. And I know that you're still involved in the schools and still on this committee and PTOs and everything. So thank you.
Yeah, I guess, thank you. Certainly, I think it's been wonderful kind of working underneath you the last couple of years and seeing kind of how you navigate all the things that come at us. I will say it is with some humility. It's just like this is, you know, it ends up being a lot to kind of to do as a volunteer. So, but I'm excited for the opportunity, and thank you if it be the will of the committee.
You do a great job.
Any other discussion? Seeing no discussion, the motion on the table is to nominate Bryce as the chair. We'll vote, so show of hands.
Do I vote? Okay.
All right. Bryce, do you accept?
I accept.
All right. Before I turn the gavel over to you
Okay.
for the remainder of the meeting, I just want to take a minute and thank Kelly for being the chairperson of the school committee. I think she's done an excellent job. She's balanced many significant issues in the community. She always brought a student-centered community approach to problem solving. She's been extremely professional, collegial, very attentive to the work of the committee. And I just want to thank you, Kelly, for your leadership, and look forward to continue to work with you as a member of the committee.
Do I have to lose your cell phone number now?
Yes, so with a change of chair, I always get a new cell phone number. So,
Probably was.
so I will turn over the gavel to Bryce.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for that. I see we've got quite a crowd tonight, so I actually want to propose to the committee
Well,
to.
We have to elect the rest of the officers.
Oh, we've got to finish the election?
Finish the
Okay.
elections, yeah.
Vice
So,
chair and secretary.
I will now take motions to elect vice chair.
I make a motion for Lauren.
Second? Maybe next time.
I might have done a little reordering for where my brain was going, but.
Who made the motion?
So,
I motion it, okay.
so Kelly made a motion, I second. Is there any discussion?
I was planning on nominating Kristen, but it looks like she is not interested. Although I would love her leadership, but it looks like you're not ready for that commitment like.
I appreciate the kind words, but I'm ready for your leadership. I have a very full plate at the moment.
You're one heartbeat away.
I mean, I was chair, I don't know why, but I was chair literally while I was becoming a mother for the first time ever. So I have a little bit of experience. I was juggling a newborn and being the chair and going back to full-time work all at the same time. So hopefully it'll be a breeze compared to that.
I will appreciate the extra resource for sure. So I'll take a vote then. Kelly? Or just, we all vote at the same time, right? Forgot, I'm being a rusty in this. All right, so the vote is unanimous.
And the secretary?
Vice Chair is Lauren, and now a nomination for Secretary.
Okay, I nominate Joan.
Second?
Any discussion?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I just need a signature every once in a while.
Just every once in a while, you gotta say.
At least I don't have to take
And
minutes.
don't, you
I
don't
don't
have to worry about executive meeting minutes, because Lauren will do them out of habit.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, I just do it on.
Co-secretary there.
So I will take a vote for Joan as Secretary. Vote is unanimous.
And then
Election of the Superintendency Union 3 members. So there is the Chair and Vice Chair that are the first two.
well, it's usually just the chairs again,
Chair.
and then the other two are up for.
Okay, so then we need to have two motions, one for each member of the.
Or one motion for all three.
One motion for all three?
Yeah.
Okay, I take a motion for all three.
I make a motion for Bryce, for Lauren, and for Kelly to be on the Superintendency Union number 3.
You get to keep myself on if this goes through.
Sorry, Greg. Second.
I second. Oh, you second, okay.
So motion by Joan, second by Bryce. All in favor? Unanimous. Awesome.
Now you can go with the rest of the agenda.
Okay, I just want to, I would like us to get to audience sharing, but I want to put out, it looks like there may be a dominant subject in the room. So I didn't know if folks wanted to share, or we could actually move directly to the vote for approving the Peasley's Nature's Classroom Field Trip for the spring of 2026.
Do you need that presentation? You want to
How's
move
the
that
committee?
presentation up?
Yeah, I'd like to move the presentation up. Does the committee have anything?
Well, I guess if people want to speak to it, that would affect our vote. I would want to hear from them first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, then we can start with audience sharing. Sure.
You can hear me, it's all right?
Yeah.
Can you hear her if she's talking from? No, the TV, yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Susan, I can't, so where do you
Su-
want?
Susan, I think if you come up closer to the mic.
Just come right up to the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Susan Sartori, 465 Green Street. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you. I was happy to support you 3 years ago and glad to see you in this position. One of the reasons I'm here tonight is to thank Kelly so very much for what she did for the town a couple of weeks ago. She understood the charter. I think you must have spent a lot of time in your school committee understanding policy and process, and understood that the charter had a certain process in it for selecting a new position on the Board of Selectmen. And you came to that meeting well prepared and handled yourself beautifully. I've never been more pleased with how a school committee person made something work the right way in a really nice environment. So thank you, Kelly. You did a great job. Secondly, I just have to tell you, I love your building committee for the Peasley School. They are so smart. They are just wonderful.
Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? I love your chairperson. She's a very, very good chairperson. Your process the other night was wonderful. It was fair. It was concise and to the point, and very, very pleased about that. So, thank you for all of that. As a person that's lived here and been on school committee and been on financial planning a couple of times, I just want to bring to your attention a couple of things that I think are important as you move forward. And that is, the Peasley School has actually been in the capital plan since year 2000. So when people stand up and they say, well, this capital project's been here for 10 years. Well, Peasley's been lingering there as well as the middle school since the year 2000. And then the other part of it that I found as we move forward with the high school project many years ago is that people really want to understand what are the operating costs that are going to come along with doing it. And I know as you go through looking into reconfiguring, what are the cost benefits of doing that? How are you Because we know the most expensive piece of teaching is the staff, because they are the hub of the school. So what are you gonna save in salaries? Are you gonna be able to consolidate services if you do it a certain way? So I'd love to see some conversations around that from the beginning, so that the townspeople understand. You're not just looking for a bright, shiny new school. You're also looking for a way of improving your services and your delivery and saving some money. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Any further audience sharing? Okay. I'd still like to move up the approval of Peasley's Nature's Classroom Field Trip Spring of 2026, so I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motioned by Kristen, second by Joan. All in favor? That is unanimous. The Nature's Classroom Field Trip for the spring of 2026 for Peasley is approved.
Oh, did you want the presentation?
Oh, yeah, I thought we
Mary, do you want to speak to it?
Yes, I would like to.
Please.
Doesn't matter, should I stand up here too?
Sure.
So I brought several documents with me if you're interested. My favorite is from a third grader who created a list of fundraisers for future trips. Letters from younger students, as well as some reflections from our current fifth graders who just attended.
Here's a photo.
Oh, thank you. And then I also have emails from current and past parents who've been involved in the trip. So if you'd like to see those. So I just want to thank you for listening to the presentation tonight and our proposal. I have some information for you to consider and think about as you consider this vote. First of all, we have always had a fantastic experience with Nature's Classroom at the Peasley School. And the feedback from staff and parents and students has been amazingly and overwhelmingly positive. And some of the thinking has been that when the trip is offered in the fifth grade year, it's most ideal time for students to attend because they know their peers and their trust in staff is so deep. They trust them and their confidence for taking on the challenges of the program and the demands, including sleeping away. They believe that the reason why is that this program at this level has been so successful. Also, fifth grade students have had so many positive reasons why they love going and how it has transformed them as people. They are incredibly appreciative of the opportunity. Fourth grade students write letters to their next year's teacher every year, and often it's the first thing that they write, what they're looking forward to. One student created the list of possible, and she's a third grader looking forward. We're asking that you approve this Peasley tradition. It's a rite of passage that is one piece of the fabric of our culture. We believe it's highly beneficial to students to attend close to the end of fifth grade, which we have proposed for next year during March for them to go. There's so many learning opportunities, including building resilience, compassion, and resourcefulness that are a focus of the Nature's Classroom curriculum. Students thrive, and it's an opportunity for us to celebrate the unique and special ways students have grown over our years together. So we appreciate your approval. Do you have any questions?
I'll just comment. I mean, I know that we've been hearing about Nature's Classroom for years and all of the positive stories, and for two separate schools that I've taught at, I have chaperoned a trip to Nature's Classroom at several different locations in New England, and it's just fabulous. One was for 6th through 8th graders, and one was for, I think, 6th grade. It's just fabulous. I think that students get a lot out of it. Sometimes it's just refresh my memory, would this be one overnight, or it would just be a day?
So it's 2 overnights.
2 overnights.
And
okay.
2.5 days.
Okay. And for a lot of students, that's their first time doing sort of a big overnight trip. So just to sort of point to that very first sentence you talked about, where they feel safe with their Peaslee teachers, their Peaslee community, I think that's the perfect way to sort of, give them a little bit of independence and freedom from home. It's a great opportunity. I'm excited for your students.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment? So I just want to thank the faculty and staff who spend a tremendous amount of time organizing and preparing and working with families. It is not something they're required to do, but see the benefit of this. So I just want to acknowledge all the effort of the past people who've organized the experience, and also for the two of you in the audience who've done a great job this year. And from my understanding from Dr. Cookley, it was a great experience for kids, and I received a lot of emails from parents about the experience. So thank you for the work that you've done and your commitment to the kids and bringing this experience to Peaslee.
Kelly?
I just want to say that I think it's great, it's great to have the kids do it. The one thing that I've said is I wish all of the elementary schools could do it, but just because the other ones aren't interested in doing it doesn't mean we should take away from the kids who are doing it. They've got staff behind them that are supporting it, and they want to do it and put the effort through. I think it's who are we to stop them from doing it? It's educationally sound, so.
Joe?
I also support it, and like Lauren, I being a former teacher, I did Nature's Classroom as chaperone for 4 nights, 5 days. And yeah, we went to the western part of the state, but it was really good. We did it at the beginning of the year, so it was a good thing for the 6th graders who were just coming from other elementary schools and forming friendships. But if I think back on my career, I can remember where we were. We called it like the satellite because it was a round building. So the kids said, oh, we are on this satellite. And they would do shows at night. They'd put on, musical performances. They'd try something. But it was even the hands-on learning, what those kids learned. It was unbelievable. And the new friendships that were formed because they could meet with the other kids. And honestly, they saw teachers as being human beings, okay? We have to brush our teeth, we have to put our hair in rollers, we have to do makeup, and they're like, wow, they look just like, little kids would look, your kids would look at you when you put your eye makeup on. But it was wonderful, and we learned Orton reports at lunchtime, that's throwing the food away, and you always want to get it lower from Monday to Friday. And I just look back on it, that was such a wonderful experience, and just the demeanor of the kids and the smiles on their faces, and even when kids got a little homesick, they could see that we were human beings after all. We weren't just a robot that stayed in the closet as a teacher. So I definitely would support, as Kelly said, I would just wish that all the elementary schools can do it, but anyone who can go to it, I will definitely be supporting it. Maybe try 5 days. You're happy to be home.
Take it for the summer.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
thank you very much, and thank you to the teachers and all the support they've given the PTO also on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add, I think with this committee, you will always find supporters of getting kids outside and learning in new environments and, supporting autonomous learning as well as collegial learning. Like, we will always be in support of that. So, just because it happens in one place, I think as Kelly said, like, that's our baseline. How do we get it out to everybody else? So, thank you.
Thank you.
Now do we vote? Or did we already?
We already voted.
I knew it wouldn't change.
We got it done. Okay. Principals reports?
Audience, oh yeah, we already did audience.
I'm gonna put them on the table.
Is he gonna be able to hear them?
Yeah, we're afraid he might not be able to hear you.
Slide up.
You may want to come up to the
So
podium.
it's your turn.
Yeah, come on up. Really put you on the spot.
Or we could do a team building exercise and you can move the table closer.
Everyone just slide it forward.
Well, we didn't want to move them without your authority, so if they can be moved, that would be great.
I mean, he is a new chair, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, there, yes, give some leeway.
Yeah. Can I go first?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So things are busy at Melican, just like they are everywhere, of course, this time of year. On Friday, we participated in Algonquin Senior Stroll. Seniors from Algonquin toured all three of the floors of our school in their caps and gowns, and students and staff lined the hallways with posters, cheering, and a lot of hugs. The experience was memorable for everybody, including the adults, all the students, and definitely the seniors, and it was really nice. I think a lot of the adults were teary-eyed, and it was just really a wonderful experience. Yesterday, we hosted 2 of our 5th grade tours. So we had our 5th graders from Z in the morning, and then Proctor came in the afternoon. And as usual, our 6th grade tour guides were the stars, and they did a terrific job welcoming our 5th graders and showing them around. Next Tuesday, we will host Lincoln Street and Peasley 5th graders. We're in the middle of our spring concert series. Monday, we had our 6th grade band and chorus concert. Yesterday was our 7th and 8th grade chorus concert, and tomorrow is our 7th and 8th grade band concert. It's amazing to see the tremendous growth in our musicians over the course of a school year, and we are thankful for Kate Getchell, Lucas Lavoie, Anna Damagella, and Scott Arnold for all of their work with our students. We're also very grateful to Algonquin for letting us use their auditorium for these concerts. Our 8th graders will attend Boundless Adventures on June 10th and June 11th. 8th grade field day takes place on June 12th. Our 8th grade farewell dance takes place on June 13th, and our 8th grade graduation is scheduled for June 17th at 9 in the morning for anyone who'd like to join us. We'd like to thank our parent volunteers for planning and organizing the 8th grade farewell dance, and to our PTO for supporting these end of the year activities, along with providing a wonderful last day staff luncheon, which we're looking forward to. Thank you.
At Lincoln Street, some may call May, the month of May, magical. Others may say mayhem or madness. But everyone here is just very busy. Our plates are all full, and we're very excited. It has been a true representation of growing and changing for our students, especially the 5th graders. It has been filled with band concerts and chorus concerts, kindergarten screening and orientation, field trips to the Ecotarium in the Lowell Mills, the 4th grade dissection of the squid, and many rehearsals preparing for the grade 4 musical entitled U.S. Geography. That's the sets that are behind you. The matinee was today for the whole school. We had a whole school assembly in here for a trial run, so to speak, and tomorrow night the grade 4 students, which is our bubble group, so it's 3 sections of 20 students, will perform for their families and friends. Our grade 5 committee has also this month of May sponsored the Talent in Treats. This was an opportunity that we could provide a community event for free, and we the student-led, student-organized talent show. And so parents came, aunts, uncles, grandparents came, and that was last week, and that was a really nice opportunity. Today, the students performed this afternoon their show, and again, we've had several concerts. We have next week, we have the K Spectacular, where our kindergartners perform for their families. Tomorrow, we have a field trip. Our grade 5 students will be going to the USS Constitution. On Friday, I think many of us have field day on Friday, so we have field day on Friday. We have over 70 volunteers, which is really amazing to support all of the functions of our field day, from breaks to lunch, to water stations, to shade stations. So we're really excited about that. Next Friday, we are going to continue for a 2nd annual Mixer-Palooza at the 135 McAfee Park, where all 4 elementaries will come together, get to know each other if they don't yet, play some games, team building opportunities, and really share their excitement for moving on to the middle school. The middle school will host us for our tour next week, and we're excited about that. We did have special visitors today from the middle school, so we really love this collaboration. Their 8th grade chorus students came over with the choral teacher. They got an extra unexpected sideshow with a fire drill. And they, as I went around to each
section of the parking lot to say all clear and give my words of wisdom. I went and they were listening very astutely, like, did we do okay? Did we get out quick enough? And I said, 2 minutes and 13 seconds. That's pretty good. So it's so great to collaborate again with Mrs. Carb and in Melican Middle School, and also Mr. Bevan with the senior stroll. It has quickly become, I don't know about everyone else, like one of my favorite events. The cap and gown, that it gets you as soon as they get off the bus. It brings back so many memories. I've worked with those kids as middle schoolers, so it's so nice to see them walking through the halls here. So that was fantastic. And we will wrap up the year with a luncheon, as Michelle said, a nice luncheon for the staff. We're excited for the end, but also excited for new beginnings as well. So thank you so much.
So at the Peasley School, we've been checking off our to-do list. Some of these tasks include the transition meetings, finalizing class lists, ordering supplies, and building schedules for the next school year. The halls and fields are bustling with special year-end events and celebrations. These include enrichments, spree days, author visits, which we had a fantastic author for any PTOs listening. Jarrett Lerner came and really brought kids into the whole writing process and the love of reading and becoming a writer. And he was fantastic, so highly recommend him. We also have the Dome Planetarium coming up. We have a 4th grade play. Our 5th grade band and chorus concert happened last week, and an amazing art show. Mrs. Tammy Money has outdone herself in that realm, and we really appreciate it. And also appreciate Mrs. Makara and Mrs. Whalen for their work. Mrs. Whalen both helps with the band and chorus, but she also helps with our 4th grade play. The best part of this time of year is celebrating our oldest students. These outstanding 5th graders will be recognized during a graduation ceremony on June 16th. We will close the day with a clap out to show our love and admiration of these graduates as a school on the last day. Our fantastic PTO is planning an end of year celebration this week. We're hoping to get it in on Friday night. We're crossing our fingers. We also have a buy one, get one Scholastic book fair. Everyone is very excited to come together, share memories of the year, and make some new ones. The PTO will sponsor our end-of-year staff luncheon, and I also want to take the opportunity to thank our PTO for all of their appreciation and their support throughout the year, and then also to thank all of you for your interest in our work. We really appreciate it.
All right, as the school year comes to a close, there's no shortage of exciting events and learning opportunities at Proctor. Just last week, our 3rd graders led a school-wide penguin huddle that focused on the significance of Memorial Day. It was a really thoughtful presentation. It was interactive, and it reminded us of the importance of honoring all of those who served. Meanwhile, our 5th graders have literally been diving deep into dissecting squid. That happened this morning. It was a warm day. It was fantastic during a hands-on science lesson, but they all really enjoyed it. We also had, similar to the other schools, our 4th graders did plays and performed for the students and the faculty at Proctor. Last 2 weeks ago, we welcomed the future of our Proctor Penguin Huddle with our incoming kindergarten screening days, and then tomorrow evening we're going to host our incoming kindergarten caregiver information session, and then on Monday we're looking forward to seeing families and students for stuffy story time for our incoming kindergartners. And they're going to meet 2 of our kindergarten teachers at that time for stories, and then thank you to the PTO. We're organizing a fun surprise at the end of the story time to officially welcome our new incoming kindergartners to our Penguin family, where they're all going to receive a tiny stuffed penguin and a little adoption certificate, just as a memory to kind of take the kids into the summer and get very excited to be part of the Proctor School community.
And then on the other end of that journey, as Principal Karp shared, our 5th graders visited Melican Middle School yesterday as they prepare for that end of the transition. And as Principal Callahan shared, next Friday, all of our 5th grade classes across Northborough are going to come together for the 2nd annual 5th grade Palooza at McAfee. We're really looking forward to that. This coming Friday, we have field day similar to the other schools, and that's going to end with a fun twist this year, so it's a little bit different than years past. So to wrap up the day, our faculty, our brave faculty, is going to take on the 5th grade students in a student-faculty basketball game, and the rest of the school is going to cheer our students on as spectators. So there is no shortage of events, but we're really looking forward to wrapping up the year.
All right, and similar to everybody else, there's a lot going on, and I'll try not to repeat, but as the school year winds down, our students have been enjoying a lot of fun and enriching end-of-the-year activities. Tomorrow we have the talent show, and we're going to showcase the creativity and confidence of all of our students. I'll be performing some magic. I'm going to saw a student in half and hopefully be able to put them back together, so we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know if it fails, but
I'm feeling we'll find out.
Sounds like it's going to increase class size.
It's going to be great. Friday will be field day and bring the whole school community together. We have 70 volunteers that are going to be there to help us, and it's just a fun family community event that we do. We also have several enrichment programs. Today we had Delilah the whale visit us. We have a 5th grade STEM fair. We have our last family meeting on Monday. We're going to do a whole school picnic with our families. And so there's lots of fun end of the year things that we're doing just to wrap things up and celebrate the great year we've had. Our 5th graders are preparing for their transition to Melican, like everybody shared. Yesterday they went to Melican and had a wonderful visit there. They all came back super excited to be moving on to a new school. I think they're sad they're leaving us, but I also think the middle school team did a great job of getting them just really excited about the transition. And they're also looking forward to next Friday when they get together with their other Northborough friends. And then we'll have our promotion on the 16th, just like everybody else, and we're looking forward to celebrating those students that have gone through Z. We're going to wish them the best as they move on. And then also I want to give a shout out to our teachers. They've been working really hard behind the scenes. They're also in front of kids, but behind the scenes they do lots of things also. Like the class placement takes a lot of time. They put a lot of thought into those processes. Building schedules for next year, giving thoughtful feedback on report cards. And so there's just a lot of end of the year things that they're doing right now to make sure everything gets wrapped up. But we're looking forward to a fun end of the year.
Any comments? Joan?
I'd just like to say on the senior stroll, there was a piece, very short, on Facebook. And it was wonderful. I must have played it a couple times. I mean, it was great to see the seniors coming down the hall, the students lining the halls, even some posters with signs for the students. And you could just see the look of admiration from the younger kids and even for the older ones seeing their teachers and everything. And even some of the comments that came from teachers at the schools that said it was wonderful, even seeing some of the students that used to be in their classes and now that they're seeing that they've graduated. So I think that's a wonderful tradition that you've started. I'd just like to thank you for all your presentations. I know it's always like, oh no, it's the first Wednesday, let's get our act together, this is what you really want to do. But it really helps us in our things when we do policies or if we do the budget. But I'd like to thank you for giving that extra effort and time to making the presentations. I know that we all really, really appreciate it and here and thank you for it. And just have a wonderful summer and enjoy it. And please say the same to the faculty in each one of your respective buildings. Thank you. See you in September.
Yeah.
Kelly?
I just want to say just about Melican, how I have a 6th grader. She was doing the tours. She had a blast giving the tours. And the music, I want to congratulate the music teachers that they've done an amazing job because I've gone to back-to-back night with concerts this week. Next year, the big thing is they get to be on the same night. I was like, yes. So that will be exciting for next year. But they were amazing. The kids are amazing. All the performers were, I was recording ones who weren't even my kids because the songs were so fun. And they did a great job. So
thank you to all of you and also all of your staff for like going above and beyond. Just, there's a lot of different ways that they'll go above and beyond, including you guys. So like, for example, reminded me of music. I think a couple weeks ago they had an optional music show also at the
Yeah.
school where the schedule didn't have to do that. She set up a whole other program and gave students a chance to sort of show what they wanted to do, like, whatever they want to do.
Open
which I
mic
think
night.
is awesome, as well as their scheduled concerts. The concert I was in here the other week, I was back to back to back the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Four kids, several different schools,
Yeah.
stuff. But you all make it happen, and it's been really fun and a great environment.
I mean, I guess.
We're all gonna do it. We're all gonna do it. We're all gonna do it.
No, this is always my favorite part of the agenda. I love hearing about the day-to-day things that are happening in each of your buildings, and I think that the community spirit in each of your buildings really shines through in your presentations. In my own building, in my other district, we did the senior stroll today. It's the first time that I've participated in this, and it was so amazing. Like, I'm still smiling from it because it was just amazing to see those students I had, 6 years ago, and I think it's special for them too. It's something that they're going to remember for their whole lives, because they get to see all of their teachers that they've seen throughout their career here in the district. So thank you so much to all of you.
Yeah, again, thank you. Yeah, I'll just add, it's always really funny to me that you all refer to this as winding down, right? And I think that's probably because of the momentum that you build throughout the year, where it actually feels like from your end that you may be ratcheting back. I can tell you from ours, it does not.
Yeah.
Or at least from mine, and having 2 kids now in the schools who are literally launching into their next year. Like they are ready.
Yeah.
And it is really cool to watch. So as much as it's winding down, it really just feels like you guys are just shooting off everybody into the kind of, summer ether. So again, thank you very much.
Should we continue?
Thank you.
No, I'll just, an opportunity to thank the principals. Not only individually do they work very hard on supporting their students and families, but collectively they are a very strong team. So together there's a lot of forward momentum in terms of the work they do. They count on one another, and that's great to observe and witness. And just a comment about the role of a principal in today's environment. It is an incredibly complex position that is dynamic. No 2 days are ever the same. It's a very important position in our community, for our families, for our students, for our educators. I just want to acknowledge the complexity you navigate in your roles. You do it well. I know every day is not easy. I know not every situation is easy. But every time that I'm in your buildings, that we're in your buildings, it's evident that you care about what you do, that you're student-centered, that all decisions you make are about kids. And just, I thank you for that. And I'm grateful, and we're grateful for your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legislative update at this time. Any comment?
No, I think that just in terms of the budget process, so the statewide budget is in conference committee, so we're waiting to hear more about when negotiation will take place between the House and the Senate. So no new updates at this time. I would imagine in the next month we should hear more definitive ideas of state aid to education, circuit breaker, all of those funding sources that we rely upon.
Kelly?
So I don't know if it's legislative, but it was brought to my attention that in September, there's gonna be state land that's gonna be auctioned off. And it's on Lyman Street, so there's a portion of it, I guess like 5.4 acres or something like that, for, that Northborough could potentially be acquiring. So the, what are they, planning board? Planning board reached out to talk about how we feel as schools moving forward for that. I brought it to Greg, and he was saying that maybe we should reach out to the state, our state representatives to ask them for some clarification on it and things like that. I think the planning board, the idea is that if they do acquire it and they put land, like it's only 5 acres, but they could potentially build up on that 5 acres. So if it was put an apartment building per se, that would be an increase to how would it impact us.
And is there any understanding of if this will just be a competitive bid process? for
I
the
don't
state?
know.
So, yeah, we have more info to find out.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
well,
I don't
thank
know
you.
if our representatives, whatever, but I'm not the chair anymore, so.
Yeah, got it. Awesome. Love homework.
Oh, yeah.
All right, curriculum and instruction, comprehensive health and PE. Dr. Reinhardt?
It's thinking.
It'll do that.
Dave, do you want me to move the podium?
No. Thank you, though.
Do you want the podium stuff?
I'm good. Thank you for the opportunity to share. We had talked about this much earlier in the year, and then there was a request to get an update at the end of the year, so we are excited to share, and Mary Ellen is here and can always jump in as well. This year, we have had the benefit of having a grant from the state to support this work, and so we have engaged in a curriculum instruction review process, which is a multi-year process, and so we're partway through it. I'm going to share with you what we've accomplished this year and where we're heading next. This is just a graphic that shows kind of how we think about the curriculum and instruction review process for all disciplines. And so we really start with assessing where we are in terms of our curriculum and instruction, making a plan for what we think we need to accomplish in the review process. Sometimes that involves selecting materials, sometimes it involves, in phase 2, redesigning existing materials. And then from there, phase 3 is implementing whatever it is we've decided is the right next step. And then phase 4 is reflecting and refining. And these phases, a phase can take a year, a phase can take 9 months, a phase can take more than a year. It really is dependent on, what the needs are and what we learn. This year, with the benefits of the grant, we were able to form, or with the support, financial support of the grant, we were able to form a curriculum and instruction review team. Andy McGowan, who's one of our assistant principals at the high school and also a former PE and health teacher, and Mary Ellen Duggan, our nurse leader and wellness coordinator, led this group. And you can see it was a group that represented all 3 districts, all levels, health, PE, social emotional learning, a really well representative group. This group led the way in this work, but it iterated back and forth between this leadership group and the whole team, which it was PE and health, but it also meant connecting with the SEL leaders at the elementary level, connecting with the self class at Melican and Julie Moranci, who teaches that class. So a lot of back and forth between people. And the group led, the leadership group led in defining a vision, which then Andy and Mary Ellen also brought to the NASA team, to our administrative team to get feedback. We brought to the whole physical education and health team, and really thinking about what are we trying to accomplish through our wellness programs. And this is part of the process we use. You've seen a math instructional vision, you've seen an ELA instructional vision, so same idea. The goals of the committee were first that we had new frameworks, so that is part of the impetus for all of this work across the state. Like, this is happening in districts all across the state. We hadn't had new frameworks since 1998. Is that correct, Mary Ellen? Is it 98? 99. We hadn't had new frameworks in physical education and health since 1999. So first step was we needed to get to know them, analyze them, and then analyze where we are relative to them. We also had a goal of the vision, which we already shared, but part of the grant that really aligned well with us was that it also called for us to elicit student perspectives on the student experience, and then to determine what adjustments we needed to make. And those adjustments might be about curriculum, instruction, staffing, resources, really could include a range of responses. We also had a significant professional development part of this process. So I'm going to share with you what some of those pieces were. Ultimately, one of our responsibilities for DESE was to create a plan for what our next steps are. So that has been one of the things that the committee took on as well. So this is this is a link so that if, I don't know if it works in your PDF, but I can certainly share it with you if not, and it's also publicly available on DESE's website, but these are the frameworks. In connection to the frameworks, so we had a lot of work to do with the frameworks, but we also had a new physical education and safety guidelines and procedures document, and this committee had been part of reviewing that and making sure that we had a common understanding of it, common implementation. So we were doing that sort of learning together as well. As we analyzed the standards, and as Mary Ellen and Andy and the team went through, and this was standard by standard, really trying to understand where they're being taught by and what grade levels and to what extent. When are we introducing something versus when are we teaching it in depth? Then we were able to look at where our strengths and weaknesses, and we went through a process with support from one of the consultants of identifying priority standards and saying, there's a lot in any standards framework, and we can't do everything to the same depth. So what are the things we're putting on the front burner, and what are the things that are still important, but they might get a little bit less time? And in this process, I would say that if you asked the committee, one of the things they would say that was happening throughout the year was developing shared vocabulary. That was a common theme that came up, was that through the new frameworks, through understanding them, they were getting on the same page about how we talk about the work and what the work is. As I said, this was a statewide effort, and the way the grant worked, the support from the state, which was a tremendous amount of support, came in two forms. One was that there was a consulting team, Lighthouse Consultants, that is really led by two women who are in higher education and teach people who are aspiring to be physical education and health teachers. And they worked with our district directly. We had 3 full days of professional development with them or with colleagues of theirs. And that's what these top 3 bullets are, is the topics of what we did as we worked with them. But they also were providing professional development sessions across the state that our team was able to sign up for and go out to. And so we might send 2 people to one that's called a deep dive into the comprehensive health and PE frameworks, and we might send 2 different people to one that's about engaging students with disabilities in PE. And then they would come back to the committee and we would be able to share some of that or recommend, because these ran more than once, that other people go. So those were 2 different ways we engaged in a lot of professional development throughout the year. As a result of this work, there was a point where we also branched off a bit, and the health teachers worked with Mary Ellen and reviewed and evaluated published resources to support our work. Ultimately, they did select a comprehensive health resource, which is published by GW, which now I'm going to forget what it stands for, Goodwin, Wilcox, thank you. So this is going to be a resource that's used in our middle schools and in the high school, so there'll be some continuity there as kids move from Melican to the high school. This is supported by the grant, and we were able through the grant to get a 6-year license. So it's something that for some time in terms of budgeting, we're not creating a need a year from now. The teachers are really excited about it, and some of them, we actually have, some of them are going to be working together over the summer and starting to look, as part of our summer PD, to look at it and say, how are we going to use this? On the elementary side, one of the staffing implications was that we were not able to add a health teacher, but we did work with our elementary phys ed teachers, and they are going to be taking on teaching somewhere between 8 and 10 health lessons across the course of the year. Many of them already do incorporate a lot of the health topics, but we're going to work together again. We have a summer PD group that's going to be working on some explicit topics that are aligned to the standards. Might be something like nutrition, and then what are the learning outcomes we want for that given grade band around nutrition. And that will be woven into the physical education experience. So that's something we'll be working on as we go forward. So in terms of what's next, great news, because we're really, like, we've scratched the surface. There's a lot left to do. And the great news is that there is a continuation grant, and they are actually automatically granting it to this year's grantees. So we will have continued funding next year. We're excited to use that to help us to work on our physical education scope and sequence and our health scope and sequence, and to do some curriculum mapping with the support of the consultants. We are already scheduling dates with them. They are fantastic, and we are really pleased to have their support. We will continue to work on just the collaboration and the shared learning. The PE teachers and the health teachers really appreciated coming together multiple times. They had 3 full days together, and then this smaller group had once a month meetings. So we have several other goals as we continue the work that you can see in this slide. But essentially, I would say we're partway down the road, really pleased to have the financial support to continue the work, and really, really grateful for Mary Ellen and Andy and their leadership, and for all of the teachers that participated in not only the review team, but in the learning and the work together. It's a big undertaking, to really kind of look at everything you do and say, and be asked to think about it differently. So big thank you to all the teachers, to the SEL leaders and health educators and everyone who's contributed to this process.
I'd just like to add a few things. I think that when you're looking at this curriculum review.
I think we're going to need you to come to the podium.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. I told you to sit up here with me, so.
Oh, I have a lot of them. So when we're looking at this curriculum review and compared to the others, this is really 3 curriculums that we were reviewing. It was health, PE, and social emotional learning. I think one of the pros, the bonuses of this committee working together is they got to get a glimpse of what's happening K to 12. Like the high schoolers looked at what the elementary school was doing and vice versa, and to look at that vertical alignment, which ultimately is our goal. So, and then just to add in that the nurses will be working with the PE teachers for the health in the elementary schools. So,
yes.
So it's been a great experience. I'm excited that it's going to continue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
Does the committee have any questions or comments? Joan?
I saw that on one of the bullets for the next to last slide, what's next? Can you just highlight what is going to be on that Canvas page for staff? Create a pre-K-12 health, PE, CEL, SEL Canvas page. What's that?
It's like a resource site for the staff to have lessons and just a resource. We talked about this at the state level, at state meetings with other districts, that's what everybody needed instead of everybody recreating the wheel. Since we're all working with these new frameworks, to have a resource site, and we would like to have one for our staff.
So just for the committee knowledge, the Canvas is the learning management system we use at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
So that is for all the courses in middle school. So that is where teachers go for their courses and most of their resources.
And then my second question was, How is this going to be communicated to the parents, or if the parents wanted to see any of the resources? We have a campus page for teachers and staff, but what about for parents?
So, go ahead.
One of our goals is also a district webpage and dashboard to have that available for the public.
Okay,
See what resources we're using, what lessons we're teaching, at what levels.
okay,
So they'll be able to see that vertical line as we go.
okay, thank you.
Kelly?
What is, or and you might not know yet, is there gonna be a change for next year for the middle school level? Like, for example, this year, I believe it's 2 days of gym, 1 day of health, and 1 day of self. Are they still gonna have all of that, or does it?
As of right now, it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
They will have 3 periods of wellness versus 4.
And they will still have all 3 components, self, health, and PE, but they are working on the schedule and staffing and looking at how are they gonna balance it? Because I think it will look a little different, but they'll still have all 3 components, all 3 years.
Okay, I would just advocate not to lose self.
No, it's
It's self itself, and I don't know if it's just Miss Moranci or if it's the program, but she is amazing for all students, all the kids. I can adapt, can feel comfortable in her classes, and they really express themselves, and it's almost like a highlight of their weeks when they go to the self class, and so I hope that.
So I'll add
I
that.
don't know if Trotter is going to get it, but they should, because she's.
So we did have, there is a physical education teacher at Melican who's retiring. The position that we posted to fill that position was duly certified, so we were looking for a person certified in physical education, also health education, and we were able to find a person with such certification, which allows us more flexibility of how we use our resources.
And in general, when we are hiring new teachers in these roles, we're looking for people who are dual certified. So, for example, our most recent hire previously was our Proctor PE teacher who is dual certified, PE and health.
I think what we noticed in our analysis of the framework, what we were going through is that there was a lot of overlap with middle school health and some.
Kristen?
I think it's a little bit to my question, maybe. So the reason you're going over 3 curriculums, right, is because the new state frameworks take them all as one, right? Is the framework. So, and as you just mentioned, I was going to say that there is a lot of overlap. I noticed just from my own kids going through it. Not that you can't, there aren't lessons certainly that could be repeated and they're going to benefit. It's not that they're not going to benefit from that, but I think it's great that you're going through all of it and sort of combining them and rethinking how you're doing. I know it's a big task, so I just want to make sure I was understanding the frameworks correctly, and I think it's really great that you have the continuation grant, and you guys got this grant, so congratulations on that too. And I know it's a lot of work, but I think it's really important. So thank you for doing that, you guys, and your whole committee, for really digging into it and seeing how you can support the students in their whole wellness and health and self and PE, nutrition. It's a lot, but it's definitely beneficial for their entire lives.
I think that a lot of self standards are met and practices are met throughout the day, everywhere. It's not just in one class, but to actually teach the skills that are then embedded throughout the day.
In reviewing the framework, did you talk a little bit about sort of balancing like the need to sort of like talk through lessons versus like active participation, running, engaging in physical activity? I know, as Bryce said, we all really like the outdoors, and I think just maintaining a level of physical activity where I just don't want to see gym class become like, okay, let's learn about XYZ, right? I want them to be moving.
The standards themselves include physical activity standards. And one of the things we've talked about, even as we've talked about the PE teachers integrating, whether it's 8 or 10 lessons, is that many of them already do it in a physically active running around the gym activity. Like we've talked about examples of where they're talking about nutrition in a game that requires running from corner to corner. But, you know, the corners represent different things that are related to topics of nutrition. So we are definitely, and they all right away were like, whoa, you're not asking me to like sit kids at desks, are you? That is not what they're interested in, like, you know, that taking over the physical activity. So I think everyone's on the same page, nor do I think the standards are trying to push that. They're trying to push the integration of practices and skills and the idea of whether it's a physical activity that you're learning or a health standard or social emotional, that you're practicing things like goal setting and self-assessment and those kinds of things, and that you're learning transferable skills. So it's not about learning kickball, but it might be partly about that, you know, what being able to strike a ball with your foot, but it is partly about working together with a team, creating a strategy, executing a strategy. So it's the frameworks are, I think everybody has been impressed with them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I would just say same. I think it's a lot to go over, you know, every 25 years, I guess. You know, the things that are flawed pile up, and so it's a lot to review. So thank you very much for doing that. I will just say more movement, not less, please. So yeah, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. ESY summer planning. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all so much. Sorry, we should have asked you if you wanted to stick around earlier. Thank you.
It was interesting to learn.
Okay.
You have to be near the microphone.
We're close enough.
That's gotta be just right.
So I'm Helene Desjardins, Assistant Director of Student Support Services.
And I'm Deb Lemieux, another Assistant Director of Student Support Services.
So we're here to give you an update about our ESY planning. So our dates and locations, we are running ESY from June 30th until August 14th. Some students will attend for the entirety of the 7 weeks, some will stay for 5. We are at Algonquin again. That's gone very well for the last several years, so we're continuing with that. Registration for students and families to register for kiddos or students who have been recommended by their IEP teams went out in April. And that is ongoing. Currently we have about 175 students registered. Typically we have around 210 students attend. So I do anticipate some late registrations, but that's okay, it happens every year. Also, some students are still having their IEP meetings, so we are still having meetings, so those recommendations are ongoing anyway. In terms of staffing, we posted positions back at the very beginning of March. We're doing pretty well with our staffing. We have only a couple teachers left to hire, and we have interviews set up for those positions. We have speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, as well as our educational support professionals. We still need to hire a few more ESPs, but we are, I will say, in a better spot this year than we typically are, or than we have been in the past. In terms of building needs at Algonquin, we've been working closely with Mike Gorman and his staff and Keith as well to make sure that everything's in place at Algonquin. And the nice thing about keeping the program there is we're not reinventing the wheel every year. It's the same classrooms in use, and the staff is pretty used to, the teachers are pretty used to having us come in, and the custodial staff is, it's really a fine-tuned machine. They just know what to expect from us and what we need. So in terms of transportation, we have submitted the transportation request forms for the van companies to set up those routes for students who require specially designed transportation. Keith's people, Sheila, she's working on setting up the routes for the buses. We have 5 buses running, 3 in Northborough, 2 in Southborough. That's pretty typical over the last few years. We have bus monitors set up for each of those buses. We are doing some professional development days and visits for the students. So for the kiddos who are coming on the week of June 30th. So those are our 7-week kiddos. We have a PD day on the 30th, but we also have students coming to visit, and we'll be notifying families about that shortly. Students who come 5 weeks, we have PD for that group of staff on 7/7, and we will have those students in to visit on that Monday, and then they'll start on Tuesday the 8th. I think that's it. Questions? Yes.
Go ahead, Kelly.
So
Trying
what
to
are
see
the
all the
hours?
way down there.
I know. So what are the hours
Oh,
of the
sorry,
day?
9 to 2.
9 to 2.
Mhm.
And since we were talking about PE and stuff, do they do outdoor break or recess break? Because I mean, you're dealing with the, right there.
Oh, yes. We have, it runs very similar to a normal school day where there's like, there's an ELA block, there's a math block, there's time for social pragmatics, depending on what the program is and what the needs of the kids in the program are. But there's also snack, there's recess, there's lunch. We do a lot of different things with recess because we are at the high school, and we do go out onto the fields, we go into the courtyards, we do a water play day for the preschool, and our castle program participates in that as well. And then if it's too hot, we use the gyms, so we try to be flexible about that because we definitely have students who can't be out in the heat for long periods of time. So.
And some of the older groups, like the middle school, high school groups, go into the weight room and use some of that
Mhm.
equipment as well.
Do they do lunch or bring your own lunch? Does the cafeteria provide it or?
They bring their own
They
lunch.
bring their own.
And their own snack.
Bag.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Joan?
What about breakfast? Do we do anything like a grab and go or water during the day for them?
We always purchase snacks and waters for students who might forget on that day, but we don't do breakfast during ESY.
Okay. Well, I think it's a wonderful program. I think you help to eliminate some of that summer slump that might happen, or summer slide. I know it's fun. But I think it's really wonderful. How many years have we been doing this?
Oh.
Since I've been here at least.
Decades.
Decades?
I used to teach them.
Me too.
Many years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, I forgot one more.
Kelly?
So I know, 2 years ago, it was longer days, like, more days per week, and then it was, did you see any significant, because you're doing the less amount of days?
Yes,
Right,
well.
continuous, so was it, or?
Yeah. So we take regression data and we look at student skills comparisons between June and then the summer program and then the school year. So we're always measuring for individual students if the program met their needs. We do have students who come 4 days a week, and we do have some programs that run 4 days a week. For example, the NEC partnership program at the high school continues to run 4 days a week. Some of our Castle classrooms, based on the student needs in the classroom, will also be 4 days. So it's very individualized, but as a whole, we have not seen a regression of skill in students that would indicate that we need to move everyone back to 4 days.
Besides the regular staff that you would have, do you also have a nurse
Mhm.
on duty? And how many days?
The nurse is there the entire time. So the
The
nurse
entire
is
time.
there actually from 8:30 until 2:30. So before students arrive until right after they leave.
And then if a parent has a child who's sick or going on vacation, do they contact you, or do you have a secretary that they get in contact
So
with?
we have a building coordinator for the summer. So this summer it will be Michelle Moody. She's the Southborough team chair. So she will be running the day-to-day operations of the building. We work with Mr. Bevan. He sets up a line for us into Mr. McGowan's office for ESY. I think if you actually call the high school, it's still on there.
We never took it down.
We never took it down. So it says if you're calling about ESY, please dial, and I want to say it's 1019, but I'm not
Yep.
sure. Is it?
Yep.
And then that's the line if people need to report absences or anything. We also send out welcome letters at the beginning of the summer so that parents have their teacher contact information, so that if they need to notify the teacher if they're going to miss a speech service or a walk-in service, they can have that communication directly.
They also, I was just gonna say, they can send an email, and then also when the registration goes out, we do try to ask if they have planned vacations so that we can kind of adjust our staffing. So we do ask if parents know of their vacation plans to share that with us in advance.
And then my last question is, at the end of the program, and when you make the transition to the next grade, Is this information of what happened in this summer, is that shared written verbally with the next teacher and the service provider?
So there's a program summary that is completed by whichever service provider services students. So we have some students who come into a program and they may just see their special education teacher as part of, let's say, the academic program, while other students may have speech services, OT services, PT services. Every person who sees a child and delivers services writes a program summary, and that goes back to the liaison for the student in the building that they're returning to. So in our buildings where we have transition, we make sure we move it forward. So in Northborough, it would just be anyone going over to Milligan, but they do receive that information.
That's great data points to share in progress of that student. Thank you.
Yep. I was just gonna comment, you said that you're in pretty good shape for hiring. I'm curious if moving to that 3-day model might be sort of, working in your favor.
So we did two things. I would agree. We try and track that from year to year. The other thing that this year we did shift over was just the hourly rate for our ESPs, and we made a return back to their current hourly rate if they chose to work in the summer. And so I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but we will measure how many more of our current staff have applied and worked in the summer.
Just a comment that maybe we can talk to our new food service provider and discuss some summer meal options for these folks. I think that would be a nice conversation to have. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great summer.
Thanks. I'll move this back.
School committee roles, 2025, 2026. You guys all have those current assignments. Is there anything outstanding or needs to be resolved tonight?
I think usually as long as the top ones are done, right, in case something.
Signing the warrants.
Warrants. I'm fine with staying on warrants, Bryce, if you are too.
And I think the only other thing that changes is you're the liaison to the selectmen now,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Because you're the chair. Is that correct, Kelly?
Yeah, typically it's the chair.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be, but
Does
that's
this
how it's.
require votes?
No, so typically we just, it's a discussion.
Yeah.
So people can start thinking about what subcommittees or committees they would like to serve on
Yep.
for next year.
But
And then we'll revisit that in the fall, but
But we do need, I mean, if things happen between now and September,
if nothing changes in terms of like the warrant, then there's no vote required. If members are changing from those key committees that you need over the summer, then.
doesn't sound like that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just food for thought for in the fall, like, I know I'd like to stay on the collective bargaining, but, I know I'm not the chair anymore, so I don't know if Joan wants to definitely stay on that or not, but just
What we're doing this year, we may all be on it.
Yeah, I
right?
think it's a
Interest-based
question.
bargaining.
I mean, there's an opportunity for each of you to participate in negotiations depending on your own schedules. So, the only challenge will be if we have a quorum, we'll just need to post, which is not an issue.
And then, I don't know if the solar feasibility study group, I think that can go inactive, I'm assuming.
There's stuff going on still for the middle school, or that, well, I guess we're past
Maybe
feasibility.
rebranding the committee, to green initiatives or something broader, not just solar. So
Yeah.
something we can talk about and maybe.
Do we have a
recommendation.
sustainability or like?
No, we had a solar feasibility study group that actually Becky.
Betty.
Betty.
Kevin.
Betty and Kevin used to lead. That has been in existence.
Okay.
And that is, the fruition of that work is the solar panels at Z.
Lincoln and
Lincoln.
Parker.
Z
Lincoln.
potentially, and then
Proctor
Proctor
and Lincoln.
and Lincoln.
Yeah.
My coffee's wearing off.
There you go. Mine too.
Caffeinate.
Any other discussion on?
The only other thing is,
rules?
I was mentioning it to, Keith earlier, is I don't know the Z roof, like, do we need somebody on that or not? Like, I don't know, is the Peasley? Yeah, Peasley building.
There's no requirement for that, Kelly.
Okay. I didn't know if they needed a committee or not.
Yeah, and I'm gonna learn more for the OPM early next week about just kind of what roles we do need to fill for that and how that will happen, so I could probably report back.
Will that come at the combined or not till September?
I might be able to do something at combined.
And I'm pretty confident that the solar project and the roof project are two separate projects.
Completely.
So the roof will get completed through the accelerated repair program, and then we'll engage in most
It's
likely
not-
another
They're not.
firm.
There's no requirement.
Yeah, and then, so we'll probably do a similar process to, Proctor, Lincoln, and just repeat that. and see.
Joan?
The only other correction on liaisons, the first one that are active, the liaison to senior citizens that I'm on, it's really the liaison to the Council of Aging.
The
I serve
Council on
the
Aging?
Council of Aging, I serve on that committee.
Okay.
Maybe just put in parentheses for future reference, so people know this is where.
Was that just like a community name change to the?
No, I think that we just had it first as senior citizens and said, okay, somebody will do something, and I remember
Okay.
when I was on, I went down and said, okay, how could we help and, make
Yeah.
a connection between it? And they said, oh, why don't you get on the Council of Aging?
Okay,
So
okay.
that's what it is. Maybe just put it in parentheses, that could always change. But I'd like to stay on that one, and I'd like to stay on the Ed Foundation. I love that one,
I
and
think they
Capital
need you,
Fund.
Joan.
What?
The Ed Foundation needs you.
They do. I need them. Let's put it that way.
We all need each other.
Right.
Okay. All right, moving on, collective bargaining agreements, negotiations overview.
Yes, so as you are aware, next year is the last year of the current 3-year agreement. So we'll be entering into negotiations with the Northborough Teachers Association. This Monday evening is our IBB training, so interest-based bargaining training, which is a requirement of interest-based bargaining. So we will be trained by Lois Mason, who has been our past facilitator. We'll be joined by the Northborough Teachers Association. That will take place at the high school. In terms of actual negotiations, we have reserved Saturday, October 18th. I'll send out a calendar invite. That will be a full day. The conversations that we've had with the Northborough Teachers Association is that best if we negotiate sooner, so that as we enter the budget process, we have a better idea of the impact that it may have on the budget. And then internally, the central office team is really collecting data, getting our comparison districts, so we have all the data that the committee will need to negotiate in a place where you have good information.
And for now, you want us to put 10/18 on our?
10/18, so Lois, the IBB facilitator, is available on 10/18. That is a date that she's available.
Okay. Lauren?
In case anyone's interested, on July 19th in Springfield, MASC is having a collective bargaining boot camp. I know most of us have been through collective bargaining a few times, so I don't know if anyone needs to do that, especially for having IBB training, but it does say it's going to equip you with tools to navigate difficult talks, set clear goals, manage public messaging, and work effectively with your team. So, FYI.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, summer workshop?
So typically the school committees convene for a summer workshop at the end of August to kind of launch the academic year. Many members have stated that it's difficult to meet that last week in August because of families starting school, many educators starting work. So I am scheduling it for the last Wednesday in September. So that is a non-meeting Wednesday, and
24th.
the 24th, and most likely, probably a 6 to 8 or 6 to 8:30 time frame.
Pretty sure the email said 5, but maybe that was just a placeholder time. Okay, it's in my calendar as 5. I'll be there early.
Keep it. I'll make him change
Yeah.
it.
Thank you for moving that. Okay.
You
That
said-
was my request,
You
everyone.
said roughly 6 to 8 p.m.?
I'm so tired
way better.
after spending like 2 or 3 full days in an unair-conditioned building, teaching kids or meeting with guidance counselors. It's like
Dinner will be
my
provided.
brain doesn't
Dinner
work.
will be
Yeah.
provided.
And
So that was my
Ice cold drinks too for Lauren. All right, approval of grants and donations. We have an approval of a donation from, somebody want to help me out with GFWC,
Northborough Junior Women's Club.
Northborough Junior Women's Club, in the
Experience.
amount of $500 to Peasley School for a buddy bench. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Lauren, second by Joan. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you very much to the Northborough Junior Women's Club.
Yeah, I think several of our schools have a buddy bunch. Maybe
Yeah, I think a
Lincoln
lot of
has
them
one.
Nice.
It's great. Thank you.
I think some of the kids did some fundraising too, we just helped out. Get them to the top.
Did they reach out to you, or did you guys reach out to them?
I saw a sign when I was at Peasley, and I asked Mary. and-
Saying that they were fundraising for it?
Yeah, right,
Okay.
yes, but they were almost there, they needed a little bit more. This was all student driven.
Cool. All right, MSBA update, Peasley Building Project.
Sure. So as you know, we are in the feasibility phase of the Peasley Building Project. And the first task in that phase is hiring an owner project manager. So I'll turn it over to Becky, talk about where we are and the work that's been done, and just want to acknowledge Becky. The principals talked about this being a very hectic time of year. It's a very hectic time of year for the finance department. And this Peasley Building Project and hiring an OPM added another layer of busyness to Becky's plate. And she's handled it really well, so I just want to thank Becky. And I'll turn it over to Betty.
I feel like I need
Somebody
to have
change
a
your
leader's
name.
For an update.
So on May 21st, we did receive proposals from a number of different firms for our owner's project manager search. We actually received 11 submissions, however, one did come in after the deadline of 11 a.m. It came at 11:05. So at that point, the committee did review the 10 proposals that we received from the various vendors, and I want to thank the committee because that was a lot of work going through. These were multi-page documents that we had to review, and everyone ranked those proposals. We then came together last week and reviewed everyone's rankings, and from there we created a short list of 3 OPM firms to bring back for interviews. This past Monday night, the committee interviewed Collier's, PMA Consulting, and Vertex. And at that meeting, each firm had the ability to present. It was a 45-minute presentation, 30 minutes of actual presenting, and then 15 minutes for questions from the committee. And at the end, each committee member would then rank those 3 firms. It was decided to negotiate with PMA Consulting, so that is the next step where we will now be working on a contract with that firm. So it's been a very, I think, quick process, like from May 21st until now, but I think it's a great end result.
Joan?
I have a question. I did watch the meeting on Monday night, okay? And when you got down to the voting, okay, you were talking about if you were going to pull out the 4 ex officio people, And then it was just the 8 voting members. But the question I have is that, and I always admire your expertise. You said, well, if you did it one way, the state could challenge it. So my question to you is I never served on a building committee. So is there documentation that when you do take the vote, that goes to the state and you have to say votes? I mean, so the state reviews that,
Yes.
and then if they, okay, so
So
you
there
can
is
just
a
explain
narrative that we'll now be submitting, so it will outline the entire procurement process. The state did review the request for proposals, or request for services in this case, document before we even sent it out. And that document did have clear steps on how this process would work. It outlined the interviews, who could ask questions, those sorts of things. So we needed to make sure that we were following that process, and then now I will take that information, all of the rankings, and put that in a narrative, and then submit that to the state for their review and approval. And that would be once we have finalized our contract with the OPM.
So the state, not looking at the one, the state could come back if they saw something and just challenge. Not on this one, but I'm just saying if they saw, let's say, X school out in western part of the state, and if they saw something off base when they're looking at this, or something that didn't seem right, they could challenge what was written down. Is that true?
They could question it.
They
Yes.
could question
They could
it.
question it, yes.
And is this something new since the state changed the way that they do the funding for the schools? This happened a couple years ago. Is this a new step that is added into the process?
You know, it's been around for a few years.
It's about 2004.
Yeah, I'd say 20 years.
It has been, okay. I was just curious, but thank you for your expertise on that. It was a learning process.
I do think each year probably they're learning as they go along, because I did notice that with this one, there were a few more check-ins throughout the process than we had with the NERI project a few years ago. So I think that even the state is learning as they go through this process, maybe some of the pitfalls that other communities have found themselves in.
Yeah. And I know Lauren serves on that committee. Greg, you were there. Keith, you were there. Sean Bevan, the principal of my high school. Becky, you of course were there. I mean, it was.
Kelly serves on it. She was unable to attend.
I
but
couldn't
she served
attend
on
the
it.
2 meetings, yeah.
Okay.
But-
No, but it's good. So thank you for, that was a long meeting, because it went, I guess, up to 10 o'clock at night.
And I was very disappointed, the 2 long meetings I couldn't go to.
Gee, you must have known ahead of time.
It's heartbreaking.
But thank you for serving on it, because I think it's really detailed, very detailed. Thank you.
Laura?
I think it would be helpful at some point in this process to invite Erica Hall, the chair of the committee, to come and maybe give a report on how
Okay.
things are going. Maybe Greg, in talks with Erica, when you're crafting your next agenda, you could talk about maybe a good time, like logistically speaking.
Anyone else? Kelly?
So it's kind of about this, kind of not. So obviously we know that NERI ran into a speed bump. They didn't get approved for their town thing. So I'm just thinking ahead, like, you know, we obviously want to be proactive on things, and so we want to be out in the public as soon as we can get, you know, marketing, whatever type things out there, feedback from constituents, things like that. I was thinking the summer last day festival of school. I know there's different booths that they do it around. I didn't know if that's something that we should have a school committee tent thing. It might not have too much stuff about the Peasley thing yet, but we could have, you know, something about it, like, do you want to be more interested, whatever. Just kind of, I know we've talked about being more available to community and stuff, so that was a thought of, I don't know how we would get.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting, it's interesting to think about, but I think you would have to create a lot longer of a list than just the Peasley School to probably keep that engaging for that many people on that day, like, especially if we don't have a lot, and that's less than 2 weeks away. So like, I think us being there is a good idea, but maybe we could have a longer list of items that we could put out that people could engage with us on than just the Peasley Building School. Because I don't know what we would tell them at this point.
I think, if I can add, the key decision that any community needs to make when moving forward with a project is grade configuration, school consolidation. I think there could be opportunities to provide some input and feedback in various focus groups along the way over the course of the next many months. I will caution that part of the work of the owner project manager and the design team is to lead that work for us.
Okay.
So I think we'll have expertise in how to make sure that we build consensus, get a sense of what the community could support.
I guess that's what I'm pointing at is like, I don't know what somebody would ask me what I'm in or not in support of at this point, other than saying like we have aging infrastructure that needs to be brought to modern standards. So like that's why I'm saying not that it's not a great idea, just that I don't know what we would communicate.
Yeah, it was kind of like a twofold thing, like one, like Peasley potentially, but also, like we did Apples Fest a few years back.
Yeah, that was fun. Like that was, I'm up for doing that, yeah.
Yeah, so that was just the thing,
My
like,
kids will be
should
so
we
annoyed.
think about?
Well, the schools have a table already, so you're more than welcome to join me there.
Oh, you do?
Yes,
I
so
think-
we've always had a table.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
I think it wouldn't be bad to have,
I can come
you
and
know,
sit with
your
you.
thing there, what
The
is the
school
school
committee,
committee,
just
what
like-
do you do, even if it's not even talking about specific
Yeah.
things that you're focused on, just have a face.
Are you okay if we piggyback on
You
that?
can come join me anytime.
I think that's
yes.
great.
I'll come hang out
I
with
invited the
you.
American Heart Association, Department of Transportation.
We will definitely be there.
The other comment is that, you know, having the presence of the Peasley Building Committee as well, and then as part of the OPM interviews on Monday evening and the questions that were asked of the Peasley Building Committee of the OPMs, part of it was really around how will you engage the community, how will you support the Peasley Building Committee in coalescing around something that the town can support. And that was a really important aspect of kind of how the firms were evaluated.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Well, yeah, please.
So one of the firms who was interviewed really talked about how that first impression you give, the first numbers that the community see, the first sort of pitch you give to the community needs to be extremely well thought out, planned, because those are the numbers that are gonna stick. Community advocate, you know, Facebook, et cetera. So I think we just have to tread carefully before and let the OPM sort of do their work and come up with the pitch, and then we can support it. So yeah, that stuck out during the interview process.
That's good to know. Okay. Accelerated repair program, Z-Roof.
Sure, so the town and the school committee received a email from the assigned owner project manager for the roof project. So Keith will be taking the lead on that, has reached out already. We'll be scheduling a meeting, and the MSBA accelerated repair program is a little bit different. It's really all organized by MSBA, so we don't have to interview OPMs. We don't have to interview the architects. Those are assigned and lead the project. So Keith is leading this and will be our contact person throughout the process.
Okay, any questions? Superintendent's report to the committee. Enrollments?
So in the packet is your enrollment report, monitoring enrollment very closely. We do have grades and sections that are close to cap. Currently, the kindergarten enrollment is much greater than we had anticipated. It's greater than our NASDAQ enrollments and our projections. We have 14 students on a wait list. We're at cap in 3 of our 4 schools with only 4 seats available at Proctor School. So we need to add a section of kindergarten to meet the demands of enrollment. That is not a position that we budgeted for. Becky and I have had conversations around making sure that we can accommodate that additional staffing position which we feel like there is some space based on some of the hiring and where hires have come in at. So we will be adding a section of K to Proctor School for the upcoming school year to meet the demand that we're seeing in kindergarten.
So does that mean there'll be 3 total?
There'll be 3 sections at
Proctor.
and any additional enrollment in K
Would go there.
will go to Proctor, will be districted to Proctor.
I know, sorry.
No, please, Lauren, go ahead. Please, please.
I know that redistricting has been something we've talked about quite a bit. And I know we recently received an email from a community member about this. So I'm just curious, I guess, you know, thinking about the Peasley project. I mean, there's so many different layers here. You know, I think, you know, sometimes people come to town thinking, I'm going to buy a house in this neighborhood so I can go to this school, not knowing that, ooh, the class sizes are capped already if your kid's going into, say, 3rd grade, et cetera. So I don't know if there's any further communication we can do to try to get the word out that, like, the way we work right now is when we hit our class size, then we redistrict. Because I don't know if all districts or communities do that.
No, it's nuanced to our district, and most parents aren't, you know, reading policy as they're welcoming their kindergarten, you know, they're preparing for kindergarten. So I think there are some ways we can better communicate this information. We can reach out to our real estate folks in the community. We can simplify the policy so that it's on an index card.
Yeah.
There's some things we can do.
I was just trying to think, because of the redistricting is due to a policy committing ourselves to a cap on the amount of students to teachers. And so the only adjustment would be to review and amend the policy. That is good to know. I think I knew the policy was there. I don't think I was quite linking, because we have some that are close and some that are, right? So I think even for me, like, just understanding if somebody were to ask me about this on the street, it really is like, this is a policy that the community has engaged in and set as a standard for us. And it would require an adjustment to that policy for this not to be an effect.
In the genesis of the policy, pre-policy, there were sections of 5th grade at one school that had 27 kids in the class, and in another neighborhood school.
I can see all sorts of issues. I can see all sorts of issues the
This
other
was
way.
the attempt to try to moderate a class size, but it's definitely not, it's not perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
And then I will turn it over to Becky for the FY25 budget line item transfers and the update on the general fund expenditure report.
Okay, so since last month's report, one new function code has been overexpended, and that code is the instructional hardware, student and staff devices. And it is over due to the purchase of new devices in preparation for the upcoming school year. As a result of that purchase, the FY25 monthly general fund report is lower by about $41,000 as compared to the April 30th report that you had seen. So as of right now, or as of May 31st, I should say, the budget balance is $82,486, or 0.28% of the operational budget. With less than 1 month left in the fiscal year, the finance team is now reviewing they have been doing this, but they're really focusing on reviewing all OBIT purchase orders. They're working with schools and departments to make sure that we have the invoices so that we can pay for any goods or services that have been provided. And they're also closing any purchase orders that have been identified as no longer being needed. In addition to doing the work of closing out the FY25 budget, we've also opened FY26 within the past few weeks. So by opening that earlier before school lets out, it does allow for the buildings to start to enter in purchase orders so that the purchasing can continue over the summer for the upcoming school year. So It is definitely a busy time in the finance department, but I have to say that the team is doing a great job managing all of these competing interests, so I thank them for that.
I'll make a motion.
Laura, please.
I move that the Northborough School Committee accepts the FY25 monthly general fund report as of May 31st, 2025 until audited, and to approve the function code mentioned by Becky that's overexpended in fiscal year 2025.
Second.
Motion by Lauren, second by Joan. All those in favor?
Oh,
Did you have discussion?
I do.
Oh,
I was
discussion.
just gonna say, where I work, I've got 2 grants right now. They're out June 30th, and I'm doing the budgeting and the balance and getting the invoices to the business office, and I have never had more respect for what you have to do, Becky. It's like, I always knew it was good, but now I'm like all day long. So thank you for this, and, starting to do this has moved to this account. It makes sense, because some of the jargon that I get sent about the pieces of equipment that I bought is really confusing. And I love that you translate this into real English for those of us who don't work in the finance department, and appreciate all your hard work, because I'm not enjoying it.
Stephanie can appreciate that,
I'm in the same grant world, a lot of due dates.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous? School committee member reports? Don't see any at this time. Anyone on the school committee have a report? Kelly?
I just wanted to talk about NSPAC. I was asked because of the liaison for NSPAC to be part of the student service director position.
Student support
Director of
services.
Student Support Services, interview committee. So we went through that process, and you all, I'm sure, saw the email today about the finalist. I was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Finalist. So that was a great process. I'm glad I was able to participate in that. The other thing with them is tomorrow they are having their general meeting and their elections at the Southborough Public Safety Building. And that is at 9:30 to 10:30 for anybody who wants to go. And you can, as always, go to their website. But I do want to do my annual Win to the Go with the Distance Award. Last month, Lauren was there with me. It was amazing. It's always amazing. It's so great to see the kids get all excited about the faculty, staff, the administration, community members that have helped them go along and go the distance for their year. So that was great. And Liam Fitzgerald, he was, I guess, a keynote speaker, I guess we could call him, and he did a great job. So it was nice to see him doing that too. So they did a great thing. And just want to thank Alyssa and I think Nicole. I think they're stepping down. They've been on the board many, many years, and so they're stepping down. So I look forward to working with whoever the new members are.
Anybody else?
Yeah, the only committee that met since we last met was the wellness committee. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it because it's right at school pickup time. But I did review the notes that they took, and so they have a couple of goals for next year. One of them having to do with cell phones in schools, and then very way to sort of complement what's going on at the middle school and look at what's going on statewide, just to see what can be done to help augment that. And then goal number 2 is creating a website as like a resource for wellness information for the community and for schools, for teachers as well. They do okay.
Forgot the other thing. Susan mentioned it earlier. There was a hiring appointee of the select board, so I, as the chair, had to be part of that also. There's YouTube videos around, so you're welcome to check that out. But we do have a new member. And then after the elections also. So there are 2
new members on the board, and Julianne Hirsch is the new chair, so that's exciting.
That's great.
No, nothing to this month. Yeah, I couldn't go to the coalition meeting, unfortunately. So besides Peasley Building Committee, I don't have too much, but something that I was thinking about when we were talking about the Wellness Committee, I was listening to a podcast about the anxious generation, and they were talking about having kindergarten parents forming sort of these groups to sort of pledge like no cell phone use until
8th grade.
I think 8th grade.
Wait till
So I know that that's something that could happen outside of the school. However, maybe it could be something that happens sort of within the school as well. So that's just, that triggered me to remember that.
They did discuss that in the wellness committee.
Okay.
Again, I couldn't make it, but I saw it in the notes. Yeah, there's Wait Till 8th, there's a couple other groups. I read that, The Anxious Generation, it's a really good book too. But,
And through the chair, another thing with the wellness is, there's been talk about at Milliken, like the backpacks and the heaviness of them and things like that. I don't know if that's something that.
I'll relay that.
Group can,
Yeah, the backpacks, yeah, and that comes into the schedule too, as you know,
I
right?
know,
Yeah,
the
they
3
don't have
minutes
time
doesn't
to
give you
go.
enough time to go to your locker,
Yeah.
and you can't leave it, so the kids bring their bags around with them, but as a
All
result,
day.
they're heavy and now they're
Right.
having back issues, you know?
Yeah, and they are really, like, it's not just kids whining, like, I picked up my daughter's backpack,
Oh,
I was
no,
like,
they're
oh my
bricks.
gosh.
They're bricks.
Yeah.
It feels like bricks, and I don't
Yeah.
even understand it, because I'm like, you
Right.
have a Chromebook, you don't have, like, we all had, like, I mean, remember social
Giant
studies?
textbooks,
The
yeah.
social studies books, like, they were ginormous, and we had
So
to carry
what Stephanie
sign.
failed to share about the comprehensive health and PE curriculum, it's part of our curriculum now. They're going to be doing squats.
With the backpacks.
With the backpacks.
Good.
Weightlifting,
Good.
so it's all.
Weighted vests,
it's part of a-
weighted
our
backpacks.
plan.
core.
Keep 'em moving.
Carry your backpack.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah,
it moving.
what's fascinating is the modern day student, they do not use lockers, and that is true at the middle school level and high school level.
Yeah.
Really?
And across districts,
Right.
Yeah.
it's a pattern.
Not locker users.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
with,
they don't like
My
it.
God,
During
lived out
during
my locker.
COVID, it stopped and it's not come back.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a little bit of passing, like time, and it's also
Yeah.
this trend that kids just are not using lockers.
right,
There
well,
needs-
that's what my middle schooler complains about, is that she only has like 2.5 minutes to get from one classroom up from the first floor to the 3rd floor over there, and she's like, there's no way, and her locker's not near either of those. So
Yeah.
it is somewhat, at least partially, the logistics.
I went to an open campus high school, so my locker was in the 2nd floor of one building, and I was never in that building. I still have, like, that's the only recurring dream I have, is finding where my locker is and trying to get into it in the amount of changeover time. Like, that's the only, like, recurring dream I ever have. So I don't blame kids for not wanting to do it, but the weight of the stuff is a lot, so. And then just one other thing I forgot to mention about, with the Peasley Building Committee, and after the election, Mitch Cohen is no longer on the select board, so we needed a new, representative of select board, and I don't know if you guys ever, Mike Teja?
He's heard of him, his pain.
So he's the new representative of the select board on the committee, so.
Okay. We have done educational policy already, unless there's any other notes there. Okay. Policy development, none of this time. Personnel items, distribution of personnel report.
So in your packet is the personnel report as of June 4th, and you'll see that the Human Resources Department has been very busy, as well as principals and hiring. And also, this report reflects the kind of the NEDP program and the hiring to launch that successfully in the fall.
Kelly?
I just want to say, we typically do our retiree recognition at the June meeting, and due to schedulings, we didn't do that tonight, obviously. I
I was a little upset, no cake, but, you know, that's here nor there. But I do just want to recognize one of the retirees, Elizabeth O'Neill. My daughter had her at Proctor. She was Addie's second grade teacher, and then taught her for COVID. Like, so she taught her until March, and then had to do the remote learning stuff. And she was a great teacher, and I'm sure she's going to be missed from Proctor. My daughters did not have Mr. Wilson at Milliken, but I'm sure he's great too. And same for Ms. Masson. I'm sure she was great. My kids
Yes,
never,
so
but-
typically we invite them to this meeting as a reward for their career in education. They weren't able to attend this evening, but we will be going to each of the schools and recognizing employees for their years of service on behalf of the school committee.
That's awesome.
And we have a small gift as a gesture of our appreciation.
I feel like in the school, surrounded by their peers and students is probably, I don't know, maybe a bit more meaningful.
And hence why people didn't
Yeah,
come tonight.
right.
Yeah.
I've always kind of looked at it like,
Yeah.
you were invited. Okay. Communications, none at this time. We have some action on minutes. So I will take a motion to approve the open meeting minutes of May 7th, 2025.
So moved. Second?
Moved by Joan, second by Laura. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. I will take a motion to approve, to approve the retained executive session minutes of the special open meeting of December 18th, 2023. This is a vote to retain, not to approve. So let me say that one more time. I will take a motion to retain the executive session minutes of the special open meeting of December 18th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Joan, second by Kristen. All those in favor? Unanimous.
And if I could just take a minute to acknowledge Cheryl Lepre. She keeps us organized, the minutes, the agendas, so just want to acknowledge her great work at the central office. And, it makes things run much more smoothly with her in that leadership position.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.
And-
Joan?
And she also keeps us on track when we have to get conflict of interest training, all that. She keeps us really on step and makes sure that we get that in there. So we're legal in all ways. So please give her our thanks.
Okay, future agenda items. 25, 26 school opening updates. That will be in September. PD curriculum and new teacher orientation. Also, that's a follow-up in September. Subcommittee and liaison assignments, presentation schedule. That is regards to the school presentations. Okay. Budget presentation by Becky. 27 budget goals, 27 budget calendar, Apple Fest, MASC, MASS joint conference. Anything else people want to add to that? Joan?
When you do the school committee presentation schedule, can you also make sure that the Ed Foundation is
Yes.
put onto
Okay.
that? And also the PTOs, of course. And will there be, we've had a lot of curriculum review for this year. Do we have, will they come up annually, or is that going to be summer?
So
What is
we
your
have
goal?
a cycle, so I'll review that with Bryce and update the presentation cycle for next year.
Okay.
Mhm.
And it can be adjusted if there are topics that you would like to learn more about.
Okay. And just another thought, what about on the, our overarching document, which is that going to be coming up the,
The strategic plan?
Yes.
So we'll be presenting at the September meeting an update on progress toward the strategic plan and the action plan for the upcoming school year.
are we coming at the end of that one?
So at the end of next year, there'll be the completion of Vision 2026.
20, okay.
26, 27 will be the reauthorization. We'll spend time thinking about what is the next, strategic plan for the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay, thank you.
Laura?
I'd also like to add something about either reporting on, maybe Keith, or touring outdoor learning spaces. I know it's one of our budget goals. I bet I forget where it falls. If it's 2 years down the road, maybe don't tour it now, but.
We had taken it off or we had moved it down the priority line. I mean, I would love anything that just keeps it on our radar. So if that is something the
Yeah.
committee would be interested in, I would be in support of continuing at least exposure to the idea.
Yeah.
Is that, am I hitting that?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
like what do we
okay.
have, so we
Yep.
can start to create a vision of where we
Yep.
need to go.
Okay,
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Approval of bills and payrolls, none. I will now open it up again to audience sharing. Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn at 8:31 p.m.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion moved by Kelly, second by Joan. All in favor? Nice job, everyone.
Nice job.
We are adjourned at
Nice job,
6:31. Yeah, or 8:31 p.m.
Nice job, Bryce.
Thank you.